Hello, everybody, and welcome to We've Got Issues. We are back again with a great conversation that we want to bring to you about interesting topics that we think will be relevant to what everyone is going through these days. And before we kick off this episode, we'll introduce our esteemed panel as we usually have. We've got our good friend Darren Gray, who's an administrator and educator at the University of Southern California. What's going on, Big D? All's well, all's well. And then we've got our friend, yes. We've got our friend Ron Evans, who is a fintech executive back in the Washington, D.C., Virginia area. Ron Evans, how you doing, my man?
Hey, doing well.
Fight on as usual. And, of course, we've got Ella Neely, who is a general contractor and entrepreneur here in Los Angeles. She's actually at work, but you wouldn't know it from her lovely background she's got going. Welcome to the show again, Ella.
Greetings, everybody.
Yes. And of course, my name is Nick Cates, and I'm here in LA. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and we are going to dive right into this week's subject, which actually gets to, I get to lead the conversation this week with a question that actually was put to our good man, Snoop Dogg of all people. And we'll bring that up and see, see what we have to say on the other side.
Do you think that unconditional love exists?
It do.
You think so?
I know so.
How?
If you got grandkids and you a grandfather or grandmother, that's unconditional love. To the highest level. I love my grandbabies. I don't care about nothing but everything that they want and need. You can't say no to me. I give them whatever they mom and daddy won't give them. But Papa Noop, they won't let me have any candy. Come here.
I think we get the message. That's from our good sage and the philosopher Snoop Dogg talking about unconditional love. So I want to pose the question to each of you. Do you guys really think that there is a such thing as unconditional love? Ella, why don't we start with you?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay, there's a no from Ella. So, all right, we'll come back to Ella on that. Darren Gray, he's a grandfather of what, 2?
Yeah, grandfather
of 2. So, do you resonate with what Mr. Snoop Dogg says?
I resonate with that love, but there's no such thing as unconditional love outside of
nothing.
Faith. I just can't. We're too flawed as human beings. There's no way we could be unconditional about anything.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. These are answers that I was not expecting. Okay. Ron Evans, you are a father of 2. You speak on it.
No, there's unconditional love.
Hell no. There's a condition
no
for
such
everything.
thing, huh? So listen, so you guys are all, Ella as well is a mother. I am the only one who is childless or who is not a parent in this mix. And I too would have said that there is no such thing as unconditional love. And I am surprised that it looks like the idea of is unanimous. Does anybody have a strong philosophy as to why they think unconditional love is true, particularly you guys who have children? Because I would think that as a parent, you would probably err on the side of Snoop Dogg. So as a parent, why do you not believe that unconditional love exists?
Because you have kids. And you realize that as much as you love them and as much as you want for them, there's boundaries for everything and there's conditions for everything. And I think being a parent teaches you that. I mean, you got to have boundaries in place. You got to have guidelines as to how to treat one another. And so then the question becomes, what do you mean by unconditional love? In what context are you? Yeah. In what context are you saying that?
So yeah, I was going to go there and define the term, right? So, and I
Yeah.
think, we have to, it may mean something different for everybody, for everyone, but I'll posit this as a term where your feeling of love and affinity for that person does not change no matter the circumstance. So you could be angry, you could be disappointed, you could be, a wide range of emotions, but you would never seek to separate yourself from that person personally or be in a position where you would not want to give to them whatever you could for their own, preservation or whatever the case may be. I'm. It's kind of a clunky definition, but let's leave it at you would never want to be completely separated from that person because you love them that much. Does anyone have another definition or
I
better?
That's too broad. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
because you
So
got violence, you got all kind of stuff that come into play with human interaction, and
Mhm.
it could be familial.
Mm-hmm.
People are hostile towards. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just too much. I mean, as much as I love my family members, I don't necessarily want to. Okay, so I don't know that I want to say that, but I just it's just too broad. There's just too much
Yeah.
in life going on, especially now. Too many emotions, too many. I mean, no,
Let's
you
take
can't.
Snoop Dogg's example, right? Like Snoop, what I gleaned from him is that there's nothing that his grandchildren could do that he can conceive of that would make him say, "I don't love you." Like I love you no matter what.
well, let's see. There's a difference between um, that feeling of love and a decision to love.
Hmm.
Because I can love someone and not like them and not want to be around them. That has nothing to do with my feelings. That's a decision. I can decide that I'm going to love that person and not have that warm, fuzzy feeling about that person. I put those in two separate categories. I think what you're talking more about with Snoop is more like affection. That's different than love because love is a conscious, deliberate choice. And you decide to love someone. Like everybody isn't born with maternal or paternal instincts. They may have a child and they say, I love this child. I don't feel like I love this child. I just love this child. So I think, in terms of a choice, for me, the people that I love, there's nothing that they can do or say that will change that decision for me. My feelings about different people in my life, I can change, based on what they say, what they do. But ultimately, I fall back on my decision to love someone.
So Ron, you take it from there. What's your
Yeah.
take on
Yeah, I'm thinking that anchoring your position to the wisdom of Snoop Dogg is
Isn't he a trumpeer or a
I
Trump
mean
guy?
it?
Mm.
That shows the breadth of his love.
he's not the Long Beach version of Marcus Aurelius, okay? But we will move forward. I think the thing that is that Darren and Elle are saying that's so spot on is you can love someone, but circumstances can change. I mean, I can't imagine not loving my daughters, but I can also imagine a situation where after years of behavior, either internal towards the rest of the family or external, it's like, you know what? I've done the best I can.
Yeah.
You are on your own because you are hard-headed and you are not listening. And I wish you the best, but for my mental health, we good luck to you. So I can absolutely see scenarios where unconditional love turns into very conditional love.
Right. So I think that leads me back to the idea of separation, right?
Mm.
Love, to Darren's point, can be a warm and fuzzy feeling, but more often than not, I truly agree with Darren that it's basically a decision, right?
Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
reason why a lot of people say that as a parent or Snoop as a grandparent, and believe me, I know Snoop is not someone we want to take a lot of advice from. I thought it was interesting that the question was posed to him, but
You put the ball above the rim, man. I had to slam it home.
yeah. As I would expect, that would certainly, I would have done the same in your position. So, the first condition is that they are mine, right? So even that, like Snoop doesn't love every grandchild that way, or you as a parent don't love every child the way you love yours. So the first condition that must be met is that they belong to me, or they are a part of me, which again, in my mind, speaks to the fact that even that love is conditional. And even though, to your point, Ron, the child could be misbehave, could cause great physical or emotional distress to your life, and you have to separate from them for those reasons.
Mhm.
But I don't know whether that means you do not love them anymore. It's just that you can't be around them, you can't be close to them, and so forth. So but I do think that the condition of them being your children goes to the fact that there really is no, even in that relationship, no unconditional love.
I find it fascinating that for the three of us, no one mentioned a spouse. And I think it's telling because with a spouse, we would never say that there is unconditional love.
Right.
So we pick the softest, squishiest target, which is a child. It's like, oh, it's like a little teddy bear. Of course you're going to love this teddy bear. It's like, well, no, they're a human
Mm-hmm.
and they will do things that are against your values. And, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
think that if
Go
I
ahead.
could, that with children, the expectation is that you would love them unconditionally
Mhm.
because they are from within you.
Mm.
And they're the only human being that's true.
Mhm.
And so because of that, and they're a part of you, one would think that you love unconditionally. And like Darren said, whoever you love, you choose to love them because people have kids all day long and don't love them. And
Mhm.
so it's a choice. And I know for me, I cannot love somebody who treats me poorly, be
Mhm.
it family or otherwise. And so love is a choice. And for me, the condition is how you treat me.
So you could be a mother or a grandmother and feel like, yeah, I can choose to love or not love you based on how our relationship is. Almost like a romantic partner, right?
Yeah. I think that, yes, to answer your question, I think that as a mom, as somebody that bore a child with my daughter, I'll always have a love for her no
Mhm.
matter what. But me being able to interact with her will depend upon our relationship. And
Mhm.
if it's hostile or emotional, then I would step away
Mhm.
because I don't need or want that in my life.
I don't know that that's the same as but even though you can't interact with her, does that mean you could imagine not loving her, not
That's what I
feeling?
said. I would always have a love
Mhm.
because she's a part of me. She's a part of my DNA. She's that
Right.
because that part is always going to be there, but you can love somebody from afar. They don't have to
Mhm.
be in your life
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
because especially if they're not bringing you joy or they're creating stress. I mean,
Mhm.
there was some celebrities last week who basically got restraining orders against their kids because they've been alcoholic or drug addicts and violent. And, we've had, the Reiners lost their life because they loved that
Exactly.
child so much
Yeah.
that they allowed, he was too close to them to the point where, they're not here today because of that. And so
Right.
you have to really assess if the love is good for you,
Mhm.
because we're all of us are human, and we're all going through an experience, and you have to be conscious enough to understand and know whether or not a situation is good, no matter who the individual is.
Right.
Yeah,
Well
and for me, Nick, it's like if I choose to love someone, there's very few things that they could do to make that me not love them. My choice to interact with them or my affection for them can change. But I've gone through periods where I've got family members, we just don't talk. It doesn't change my love for them. It's just it's a conscious choice. It's not tied to my feelings about them. My feelings about them can fluctuate daily depending upon how they interact with me or how they interact with other people. But the choice to love them, like I've got friends that I just will love dearly but won't be around them ever. I will not interact with them, but it will never change that I love them. And so I think it in terms of I think in the church they call it agape versus eros versus philia, the different types of love, agape being that choice to love, and eros is that emotional thing, that romantic, then philia is like friendship. So I think for me it's really a choice of that person, for whatever reason I decided to love them, and they cannot do anything that will change that decision, but they can change how I engage with them, interact with them, or never engage with them or interact with them. Like I've
Yeah.
had friends that I grew up with that I will always love, and I've not seen them in decades.
Mhm. I wonder if we say that we love them, but we can't be near them. But actually, what we're really saying is, I don't love you anymore. Like those who we love, we typically want to have some connection with. And so we say
mhm.
that we have, I think there's a special place that someone may have. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a romantic person. But if you choose to disconnect from them, you tend to separate from them consciously. I wonder if you can still really hold someone in a loving regard.
Well,
You
well,
know,
I well, I
yeah.
look at it this way: if I love them, there's always a way for them to work their way back into my life.
Mhm.
So even if I don't talk to them for 20 years, that door's not ever closed. That's what I say. It's I may not want to interact with them now, but there could come a time in the future where I could see interacting with them.
Right. I
And
get that. I get
that
that.
so
You're saying
that's
that.
like the door is still open. We just don't ever have to cross that threshold, and we can go, we can die and never having reconnected. And my decision to love them, it's an open door to my heart if if they choose to want to be back in my life, then there's
Mhm.
no penalty. They're just welcome,
Right.
Yeah,
but
Nick,
they're also welcome to exit if they behave in the way that got them booted out in the first place.
Mhm.
I think I'm struggling, Nick. That was a wonderful question that you posed, because I cannot think of anybody that I haven't seen in 2 decades that I would say I love. And maybe when I go have dinner tonight, I'll think about it and I'll find someone, but there's no one that I haven't seen in 20 years that I can say I love you. I love that person, because there has to be some type of connection. There has to be some reason why this person is loved by me.
Mhm.
And if it is a family member or a friend from high school or college, like the difference between all y'all and our buddy that went to, well, who was the BSU president, who
Mhm.
I really, really like. It was amazing to see him at LACMA, I think last year or the year before. Amazing to see him. It's the first time I've seen him since college. I
Mhm.
like him, but I don't love him.
But did you
Right.
love him at the time?
No, I kind of like
So
him more now than I did then.
yeah, but you didn't
But
love him, so that
but
I
but
think
who am I going to love 20 years ago that I haven't talked to.
Mm.
You-
That in particular, I think Darren makes a good point. Most people that are in and out of our lives are people that we like. They're not people that we sacrifice for. They're not people that we would put ourselves in harm's way for. They're not people that we would lose so that they could gain. Right? If it were called for. And I think that's getting closer to love than people that we just like or people that we were cool with or whatever the case may be. I wonder that again, if we make a choice to not engage with them, or even if we just happen to drift away for whatever reason, from someone that we love, could be a family member. I think love denotes a level of connection, in my view.
So
You know what? Hang on. I got an example.
Okay.
Our friend that now lives in San Diego.
Still love that person. Will not interact with them. Still love them. Still.
So as we talk about this, for me, it's like, well, what does it mean to love somebody? Because like I have people that are like family to me, and so they will always be a part of me. And I don't know that I necessarily love them, but I definitely don't like them. And so because I don't like them, then I don't want to be around them, but they still hold a very important part of my life because they're family to me. They're somebody that I've known. It could have been, growing up together and all that kind of stuff. And I guess we use that word love, and it makes me wonder, well, what does love really mean to people? Because for me, if you're family, that doesn't necessarily mean I love you. You're just like a part of me. And so I mean, I'm just kind of like pulling back that onion now as to what love. I mean, there's a romantic love, but you guys are family to me. I mean, I don't think about, oh, I love them. You're just part of my life and you're my family. And there's some people in our group that I don't talk to, but they're still family to me. So it's just making me question, well, what does love mean?
Well, I think what we're trying to nail down is the unconditional part. I think love, like Darren was saying, there's different kinds of love, and I think we've touched on all of those: the eros, the philia, and the agape. We all have people that fit those different bills. But unconditional, in my mind, to a certain degree, means again that there's very little separation between them and you emotionally. For example, if they hurt, you hurt, right? You be willing to sacrifice your comfort for their comfort because there's a certain level of connectedness emotionally and or physically. That's why we default kind of to the parent-child thing a little bit, because there is that willingness to be at best inconvenienced and at worst put in harm's way for someone else. And
I don't know too many people that I put myself in harm's way for.
Well, I mean, that.
I mean,
if we're not talking about just emotional love, right? I mean, love is kind of a hard thing to pin down on a certain level.
Well, I look at love like my Hall of Fame. Like once you're in my Hall of Fame, I'm not going to take you out of my Hall of Fame. You will always be in my Hall of Fame. And so once you cross over, you get that induction ceremony into the Hall of Fame. You're there. I may not interact with you. We may, fade away. I've got some childhood friends that did so much for me, saved my life. I will always love them. I've got some friends who were there when I needed them. I've got some family members who, we were thick as thieves growing up. They will always be in my Hall of Fame. Always. I will always have that love for them. I just don't necessarily need to interact with them because we grow differently. Our tastes, our needs, things change. It's the affection part is, I think, what you're talking about is unconditional affection. I don't have that. That's very conditional. But them being a part of my life, somebody that I could profess that I love that person, it won't change. And Ron, our friend in San Diego, that will never change. That will never change. I will always love that person forever. I don't ever have to interact with that person again but that person got inducted into my Hall of Fame and will never be kicked out.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like what
I
you're
don't
talking
have
about
that.
is affection too. Like that person in San Diego, you have a connection with them from what happened in the past and just a strong feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't know that's actual like
Love.
Yeah.
So
It's sentimentality, which is unusual for you, Darren.
Be nice. Be nice.
yeah. So
I mean, I am very sentimental about those times that you and me and Nick and we all were in Sparky and, broke AF and having fun with that person. But we've grown apart. I don't have anything in common with the person anymore. And I haven't I saw the person once in 30 years. And that was at a funeral that we all went to.
Yeah.
So I cherish the memories, great stories, but
oh, now I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you have an opinion or two, Ella.
Yeah, I think I've known that person longer than you guys have.
You have.
I think so.
You
yeah.
have. So what is your connection? Is it love, unconditional love, or like we're just friends?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't feel connected at all.
Yeah, that they're
because I started off by saying
in that relationship.
Yeah, I started off by saying it's how you treat me, and so no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Darren, you are very sentimental on this, and I also cherish those times. But the evidence over the past few decades is that the person is not important in my life, probably not any of our lives, enough where it's like, hey, how you doing? When are you going to be in town? How about if I come down and see you? Let's have lunch.
Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of, there's so many different levels to this, and that's one that is very specific, I think, to our little friend group. But I'd be interested to see what viewers think about this whole idea of unconditional love and what the definition of love is, because I think that really gets down to what we, if there's an easy way to categorize what love is. And I think we've hit on a lot of interesting points that hopefully our viewers have some thoughts about as well. So we'll leave it there for now on that topic. And I think it's really something worth considering, because I think in one of our past shows we talked about, did we ever talk about something you'd be willing to die for?
No.
Right? One last point on this. I wonder
maybe a running game.
Say again?
A running game?
Oh, yeah. I'd be willing to at least lose a finger, maybe. So that's for all you USC fans out there. Anyway,
but
go ahead.
I will say that because so you hold somebody dear, whether you love them or not, and then they expose. Well, for me, they treated me poorly. And so, once a person exposes who they are, then believe them the first time. Isn't that what she said? And so, but I still grieve the loss of them. It's not like this has happened last week. I've gone through this grieving process for like 2 or 3 people in the last year. And it's not that, it's because you realize, they expose themselves, and people, and I believe that people are who they are, and they're going to continue to kind of do the same things. Now you start going to therapy and all this, and it could help, but it's not, even if it's not to say that you fall out of love and you don't grieve. I think that there's a grieving process and there's a sadness of being separated from the person, but you realize that the connection to be around them is not good and healthy for you. And so I think that that's important to state, because it's not like you're just leaving them by the, you're just not abandoning them, but you just realize for your own personal everything that you can't, really interact with them. So I think that that's important to state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think love and boundaries have to be cousins, right? You got to, be able to love to the best of your ability, but also have boundaries that don't allow you or the other person to get hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
got it. I mean, I think you're going to be hurt. It's just that, you have to respect each other and know what the boundaries are so that you can, because you guys know you're married. I'm not married, but relationships, it's a lot of work every day. Yeah. And so, communication and talking about what those boundaries are, because you can't really appreciate if you don't know what it is you're supposed to appreciate.
Right.
So that's why I always say, my birthday's coming. I'll give you this list so you don't have to guess what I want. I'll just, write a list and you can choose from it. So, I mean, people aren't mind readers. And so a lot of times you want somebody to guess what it is that you want when, I think I use the approach, just come out and say it. So that's what I believe.
You should write that book for women all over the world. Don't fall into the trap of hoping your mate will read your mind.
Okay, yeah, because they might forget the day.
I got a younger daughter that'll be buying your first copy.
Right.
She was quite impressed with that one. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Wow.
You knew. I thought I told you that.
Okay, well, we've only gone through text. So,
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, Ella, you might have a book in you for women out there trying to navigate this whole messy relationship world. So we'll leave the unconditional story there, unconditional love story. But certainly, if any of our viewers have thoughts about this subject, we're definitely interested to hear your take on it, and hope you will. While you're sending your comments, you'll like and subscribe, of course, to We've Got Issues on Minefield Productions. And we'd love to just connect with you in any way possible. So before we get out of here, I'll leave with my parting shot for this week, which is kind of going in a little bit of a different direction. But it actually is about, I'm going to call this parting shot billionaire books. So we are in the age where being a billionaire seems to be the most powerful, compelling thing that one can aspire to. Seems to be what runs the world. And recently, I read 2 books that about different sides of this that I thought opened up my mind about what the American dream is about. First one was called The Gambler, which is a story about Kurt Kerkorian, who's not necessarily a well-known person, but he was a multi-billionaire back in the 70s and 80s, and he basically lived the American dream when the American dream was kind of more in the mythological version of the American dream. So he was an immigrant. His family were immigrants from Armenia, who came here in the early to mid 1900s with nothing. He started off with nothing in Central California. And without getting into all the nuts and bolts of it, he worked his way up from being a boxer to being in the Air Force to then, kind of doing salvage plane arbitrage and making money through that, to eventually owning an airline, to eventually building grand casinos in the mob era in Las Vegas, and a whole bunch of stuff in addition to owning movie studios and stuff. So he just basically step by step, it's called The Gambler because he made these really big bets that could have gone either really big or really well or really bad. And some of them did go really bad, but he just kept taking these big swings in life. And it led him to become a multi-billionaire. So kind of like the classic very cinematic, very, classic billionaire story where you build it brick by brick, actually adding value, taking on risk, being a person of your word and all that, which, obviously there's also the other side. There were relationship issues, marital issues, all of that. So I'm not making him out to be a saint, but what I'm saying is that it's one kind of traditional way of looking at it. And then there's a book that just came out, which particularly Ron and because your daughter just graduated from college, it's called How to Take Over the World. It's called How to Take Over the World. And it's written by this young man who is graduating from Stanford.
Okay.
And his claim to fame, and the reason why he wrote this memoir, is because while he was a student at Stanford, he went to Stanford imagining that he would be a founder and tech billionaire. And he ended up actually getting involved in the college newspaper. And as a reporter on the college newspaper, he uncovered information about the Stanford president that ultimately, in his reporting, showed that the Stanford president had been involved in all kinds of fraud and deception in some of his previous work that he had done as a scientist, and published things and whatever, and basically continued to but continue to succeed up by fraudulently making claims and putting out research information that where the actual methodologies and results were all completely were fake, to the point where he became president of Stanford University. So he ended up having to resign from Stanford University by virtue of this kid who was a college newspaper reporter ended up doing. But more than that, what the book talks about is this toxic interconnection and corrupt system between Stanford University and the billionaire class in Silicon Valley, which was actually kind of created by these people coming through Stanford all the way back during the Hewlett-Packard days and all that kind of stuff. But now there's this cabal, basically, where going to Stanford is no longer about necessarily going to the number one academic university. It is now this, I failed to find the words to describe his analysis of it, but basically everything that you feel is wrong about how billionaires run things in society is a microcosm of how Stanford, which is the richest university in the world, is part and parcel of what we're seeing about the billionaire class today. So anyway, two very different books about growing $1 billion, having $1 billion, using $1 billion in these two different books that I think resonate with today. So that was my long-winded parting shot, but both very compelling in their own way, and I highly recommend them both. The Gambler, Kirk Kerkorian, and How to Rule the World.
So thank you.
Thank you for that.
My Detroit genes, I can't stand Kirk Kerkorian. He destroyed, he played part in destroying the auto industry, particularly Chrysler. So
he did that's part of the story too. Him and Lee, his thing with Lee
I have nothing but vitriol for Kirk Kerkorian. Nothing but vitriol.
Wow. Right. Well, I'm not saying he's a saint. I'm saying that he made $1 billion when it wasn't that easy to make $1 billion.
Middle class folks that lost their pension because of his $1 billion.
Well, he would not be alone probably in that. There's probably a lot of billionaires, and particularly in the AI age, there's a lot of pensions that are going to be at stake. So anyway, that is this episode of We've Got Issues. Hope that you guys have heard or basically found some value in what we're talking about here today. We always like to bring topics that we think will be of interest. So I appreciate all of your feedback and all of your life experience, guys. It's always a pleasure to get together. And again, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've always got new content to put before you. And give us a like and a thumbs up, and that'll do it for today, guys. So until next time, we'll keep it rolling, and we'll see you guys next time on We've Got Issues.